hero has returned. And today, we'll be talking about ReZero Volume 20. And I've been seeing the news. I've been hearing murmurs of a season 3. I'm waiting for the official announcement. But if that's the truth, then hey, it's ReZero season. But let's talk about ReZero Volume 20, the final volume for Arc 5. Let's do it. Alright, so I'm not going to talk about things in perfect chronological order like I usually would. I'm kind of just going to go through my thoughts in order of what I remember and what stuck out to me. But right off the jump, let's talk about Garfiel versus Kurgan. This was pretty much the first fight that concluded in this book. The fight was pretty damn good. I mean, I really enjoyed the difficulty that was there. It always felt like Garfiel was about to lose the entire fight because this man was like getting completely folded. I mean, every corner of the freaking fight, he was just getting destroyed. It's one of those fights where even by the end, it's questionable whether this guy won or not. But he did win in the sense that Kurgan did respect Garfiel as a warrior, which is something I thought was really, really cool. And my favorite moment in this fight was the moment in which Garfiel was, I believe, in the town hall or something like that, and he was fighting Kurgan, and Lustful and Tina, his two siblings who he discovered in this city, were there shouting, cheering him on as he fought against Kurgan. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt the emotions running through me at that moment. I'm like, damn, okay, you gotta win now, Garfiel, bro. You don't fuck with my boy Gorgeous Tiger, because if you do that, you gonna get the smoke. And yeah, what a brawl. That fight will be freaking awesome if we get a season 3. Like, all of these fights in Arc 5 are about to be so freaking good if we get an anime. So if season 3 is coming, that's amazing. I'm glad to hear it. But then the next fight, the most emotional one, the one on the cover, the drama of this volume, we had Wilhelm versus his sweet beloved wife, Theresia. Now this was an emotional battle, especially for me as someone who has read through the Wilhelm Theresia extra novels. I mean, this was tough to read, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But yeah, so Wilhelm's going at it with his wife, and they're fighting. Wilhelm can't really steal his resolve to kind of like really go for the kill. She's pretty much like beating him most of the fight. And then there's one point where he pushes her back. He has a chance to finish her off, but he hesitates because all the sweet memories of his wife return to him. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I knew this was gonna happen. The arc was building this up. Wilhelm's been super emotional this arc. I honestly never believed he was gonna really get the job done. I thought maybe there was some hope of it, but I learned in this book that Wilhelm doesn't have it in him, man. He can't do it. He can't kill his wife. She means too much to him. I mean, not many people can kill their wives, even if it is just a zombified clone or whatever you want to call it. It's still pretty freaking sad. Like, she looks like your wife, she smells like your wife, she dances, she fights like your wife. I mean, I don't blame the man, but Wilhelm wasn't able to finish the job. And what I thought was interesting is that we got a Theresia flashback that shows all the events of the extra novels through the perspective of Theresia. So we get a little bit of a flashback going on here, and we get to see everything through Theresia's perspective. And I thought this was really sick because we learned that right off the jump, Theresia was in love with Wilhelm as soon as she met him in the flower field. She had finally found something that gave her a reason to pick up the sword, something that would allow her to break past her fears of hurting people. And that was the desire to protect somebody you loved, which was of course Wilhelm. I mean, Theresia's been through it. As we've seen in the flashback in this book, she's lost multiple siblings, multiple family members because she was never willing to take up the sword and take up her role as a sword saint. If you guys have seen my previous video, I was talking about how being the sword saint isn't all it's cracked up to be. The whole kingdom relies on you. You're so alone and you're expected to do so much. And you never had a choice from the beginning. This blessing, this talent was just bestowed upon you, and now you are being forced to use that talent for the sake of others, for the sake of other people's desires, for the sake of protecting because you were blessed and they were not. And I really like the whole thing we have going on with Theresia and even Reinhardt. If you saw my video, I kind of believe that the sword saint has so much pressure, but on the inside they're just lonely. As we've seen with Theresia, she just wanted to run away from it all. She didn't want to take up the sword. She didn't want to fight. She just wanted to chill in the flower field and just live her life. Maybe have some kids, grow up as a normal person. But that blessing that was bestowed upon her, quote unquote blessing, became a curse. A curse that binds her. A curse that she couldn't ever escape. But thanks to Wilhelm, that curse became a blessing. Because that same curse gave her the strength to protect what she loved, which was Wilhelm. And I really think this is a beautiful character arc. Because even in society and in general, you know, people look at people with talent and think, oh, they have it all. They must have life so easy. But when you have talent and when you're really good at something, there's a lot of pressure on you. People depend on you. People expect things from you. And sometimes the weight of those expectations can be so heavy because talented or not, we're all human. And there's only so much we can take, which is why I'm really interested to see where Tappei goes with Reinhardt's character. But I really like what was going on with Theresia. But continuing back to the story, the interesting part is how she actually was taken out. So we're going through her flashback through her perspective. And then we get to the point where the white whale expedition was about to happen. Wilhelm was forced to guard, I believe, the royal family. So Theresia decided that, okay, Wilhelm can't do it. As a sword saint, it's time to pick up my sword again. And Wilhelm was trying to tell her, no, don't go. But at the end of the day, he was unable to stop her. And then she went over to fight the white whale. As we know, Reinhardt's blessing was bestowed upon him. And Theresia became just another person with a sword. Who, you know, probably was good still, above average, but not enough to fight no white whale. But what was the most interesting thing was that she didn't even run into the white whale from what I was reading. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she ran into Pandora. I think she ran into like the whale's mist. And then she ran into Pandora somewhere in a forest. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? So no wonder we remember Theresia. She wasn't killed by no white whale. But yeah, Pandora appears before Theresia and Theresia tries fighting her. And obviously that doesn't go well. And she's just put to sleep. We don't even see what happened. So it seems as though Pandora just killed her right away, like instantly. I believe Pandora whispered something in her ear. I don't remember what it was, but she was put to sleep. And then we see her waking up, and her waking up lined up with Reinhardt defeating her. I forgot to mention the fact that Reinhardt appears and he basically does what Wilhelm's unable to do and just says, yo, this is not your wife. This is not grandma. This is just a zombie. I'm taking her out. And I'm like, okay, we need someone to do the job because Wilhelm's not doing it. So I'm like, I hear you, Reinhardt. I hear you. A little bit cold, but like, Wilhelm, bro, you said you were going to do it. You didn't do it. Reinhardt's going to do it. But yeah, she wakes up. She's, you know, she's about to die, pass away. She's already attacked by Reinhardt. And she has her final moments with Wilhelm. And she finally gets to hear him say that he loves her. And she just says, you didn't ever have to say it. I knew from your actions a long time ago. From the very beginning, I knew it. And I'm like, fuck, bro. This shit's trying to make me cry, but ReZero gotta stop. In the anime, in season 3, when this stuff is animated, man, this is about to be crazy. But like, yeah, I gotta say, I do feel bad for Reinhardt, man. Reinhardt, he has to bear a lot. I mean, he's the reason they were able to beat greed. Then he comes over and helps out his grandpa, but his grandpa's unappreciative. Reinhardt's just doing what he has to do. To treat Reinhardt this way, it's not right. And then Henkel too, like, that's your son. And Henkel seems to be so envious and hateful towards his son. He just hates Reinhardt. He said, oh, you're the sword saint, you're looking down on us. How dare you? You killed your own grandmother. I'm like, are you not his father? Are you not his grandfather? Is this the family? Is this what we're doing? Like, poor Reinhardt, bro. Like, I actually feel so bad for the guy. Like, it's actually a tragedy. Go check out my video on the tragedy of Reinhardt Van Estrella, the saddest fucking character. But then cutting back a little bit, I want to talk about the Julius versus Gluttony fight. My bad, the Otto versus Gluttony fight. Now, there's a lot going on with this one here. Gluttony is just crazy, bro. I mean, as the fight's going on, the people they are fighting with are getting their memories and names eaten. So they're forgetting the people fighting alongside them in real time. And Otto finally realized that something was off. And he concluded that this was Gluttony's authority. So they started to catch on to the fact that they were forgetting people that they were fighting alongside. And they realized that this was most definitely due to Gluttony's authority. And yeah, the entire time they're really just trying to buy time for Felt, because Felt headed out to grab a legendary weapon created by the witch Echidna. I don't remember what it was called. It was called like a staff or something. It was some crazy staff that was apparently able to one-shot the dragon, something like that. I'm like, oh, this is one-shotting a dragon? This is definitely going to destroy Gluttony. I mean, there was one point where it got pretty intense and Beatrice had to come through to save the day and help them out. And even though Beatrice arrived and was helping them, they were still struggling against the Gluttony guy. But this is where things get interesting. When they attack this man with the staff, he seems like he's dead. Like, they said his presence is gone, but then it just switched over to someone else named Louise, I believe, something like that. It was a blonde little girl, and I'm like, what is going on? Is this Gluttony's true appearance? And I know there's multiple Gluttonies, but like, I'm like, what is going on? The name changed too. The name was Louise now, and I'm like, okay, who is this? And I'm like, okay, so we attacked it with our strongest attack, and it's still coming for us. I'm like, oh, we're finished. But luckily, Gluttony decides to back off for some reason and says that's it for today. Now, I think this was probably because the gospel was telling them to call it the day. And yeah, so they would have been finished off pretty quickly if Gluttony decided to keep going. But that's interesting. It seems as though the person who took Rem's memories is now taking on the appearance of a blonde little girl. It's so weird. I don't know what's happening. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I have no clue, but I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But yeah, moving over to something I found extremely intriguing, which was the fight of Al versus Lust. Al fights Lust, and he has a lot of interesting things to say in this instance. He talks about how he had to learn how to avoid her attacks 53 times or something on the lines of that. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's saying, you wouldn't understand. I'm like, is this a confirmation that Al has returned by death? He's literally discussing the fact that he has fought Lust multiple times and has seen her attack patterns multiple times. Like, he said lines like, oh, I've been killed by this attack before, it's not gonna get me this time. I'm like, so Al has returned by death? Like, y'all just like, I'm not asking to be spoiled, but like, I feel like that's a confirmation that that boy got returned by death. I mean, damn, that's crazy. But I'm like, okay, Al is pretty sick, and he seems to be pretty damn strong. He's such an interesting character. I mean, there's so much to dive into when it comes to Al. He seems to know a lot more than he lets on to. He seems to have a lot of opinions that he keeps to himself. And it's just like, what is this guy's story? It's interesting. But yeah, that's all the battles we had that conclude the battle royale of the water city of Bristella. In the end, we only killed Regulus, and that was it. We captured Cyrus, but the only archbishop that was actually defeated was Regulus. The rest got away, so damn. We're gonna have to be dealing with these same enemies again later on. But moving forward, we get to the point where we cut back to Subaru and we see he's at the camp where the injured are getting healed, and things, things are starting to calm down a little bit. Even though it's still tense because we didn't even beat the archbishops, there's still a lot of issues going on. Things are still getting, they're getting better. There's a point where Subaru goes to visit Cyrus in the tent, and Cyrus still believes for some reason that he is still Betelgeuse and going crazy and doing all types of strange things. I don't think there was anything important said in that conversation. I could be forgetting something, but that was an interesting reaction. The thing I did like is that when Cyrus goes to Subaru and starts licking his face, Emilia, showing absolutely no chill, bashes her with, I believe it was like an ice sword or something, but Emilia attacks her and sends her to the freaking floor while she's chained up. I'm like, okay, Emilia, I see you being a little bit protective of Subaru, a little bit. Okay, I like it. Emilia's really coming into her own person. And I do really enjoy Emilia in this volume because she's starting to actually understand what's going on. She's more self-aware. Emilia was a bit aloof, earlier in the story, but now she's like catching on to the romance between like Garfiel and Ram, and she kind of just understands social dynamics and jokes more. And I'm like, oh, look at that, Emilia is becoming a full character. Like, she says things that I'm like, since when did you say that, Emilia? And even Subaru's like, wait, when did Emilia talk like this? I'm like, okay, I like it. I like to see Emilia growing. I like to see the character growth. It's always a fun experience to see character growth as the story progresses. But jumping over to the next thing, which I thought was interesting. I'm not really going in order. I'm just going with what I think was the most interesting stuff in the volume. But there's a point where Julius appears. And Siri says hi to Julius, and Julius doesn't respond. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? What? Okay, Julius, why are you being so mean? But then Julius reveals to us that nobody remembers him, that he was eaten by Gluttony. His name was Eden, but he's still conscious. But nobody knows who Julius is, which is insane. Insane. Freaking insane. This was probably like the biggest reveal to me. I was like, my jaws were dropped. I'm like, oh shit. So no one knows Julius no more? But yeah, his name was Eden, and now Julius has been completely forgotten by even his own royal selection candidate, Anastasia, who was unconscious though, so I don't even know what's going on, because Anastasia has been replaced by an artificial spirit that apparently existed in her scarf. Like, there is so much going on, guys. There is so much going on. This video can go on forever. I could do a podcast, but I can't talk about every little detail, but it's crazy. So Julius has been forgotten. They decide that they're gonna try to figure out how they can get Julius's memories back, as well as find out information on the witch cult and find out how to get Anastasia back, as well as Subaru, who wants to find out how to get Rem back. They're all headed over to this place to find the sage, Shora, I believe her name is. The Sage Shara, and it's apparently a dangerous place that even Reinhard cannot break through. So that's where we're headed next, and going alongside us is going to be our boy Julius, who has been forgotten by everyone. I mean, Julius is a pretty tragic character too. His best friends, Reinhard and Felix, don't even remember him. I mean, damn, imagine your best friends forgetting you. Like, it's sad. It's really sad. But yeah, they're heading over to this new place to see the Sage of Shora or something like that. And I'm like, damn, okay. This is probably the most excited I've been reading ReZero. Like, I'm glad I took a little break, but now that I'm back, I'm like, this right here is so freaking amazing. I have the next volume actually coming in tomorrow, I believe. But yeah, man, it's such a shame to see what happened to my boy, bro. Julius, such a tragedy. Hate to see it. We are headed over to the Desert Tower in hopes of getting everyone's memories back and discovering some more things about the world of ReZero. I'm so excited to see what this Sage character teaches us. I'm so excited to embark on this new journey with these characters. A lot of exciting things coming up. I'm so glad Julius is coming alongside us. Oh my god, I love the relationship that's growing between Subaru and Julius. There's too much to talk about, but that's gonna be done in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of everywhere review. You know, we don't do it organized out here. We kind of just go with the flow. But as always, have an awesome day. Feels good to be back. I'm out.